Little lonely dragon boy.
So low.
Vartash is our wingman.
He is a wingman.
Which is weird, because he doesn't have wings.
I wasn't going to make...
Adelaide
I was going to
does.
state that.
I can eventually get wings.
All the things that Dragonborns got from dragons and they didn't get the wings.
That's like one of the coolest parts.
I know.
If I was an amethyst or like a gemstone dragon, I could get wing.
Being
I can
completely
transform
real,
into something
like
with wings eventually.
if like for practical life, of all the things you could get from a dragon, wings would be the most important, like the most helpful for practical life. I feel like sharp, razor sharp teeth, claws, dragon breath.
Honestly, for me, the scales. The impregnable scales.
I feel like the two things you'd want are your scales and your wings.
I'm just going to throw it out there for those who have met me in real life know my disdain for people. Occam can 100%
Now, my question also is,
back this one.
What's the difference though between like the half dragons and the dragonborn again? I don't even remember.
Half dragons
like,
are bigger and
like they're supposed to be
more
bigger
dragon.
and more dragon-like, but like are they like the offspring of like a dragon and a human together?
Yes, half dragons are actually
half-dragon
one dragon parent. Dragonborn are technically a completely different race that technically, canonically has no actual direct connection with dragons.
Half dragon are legitimately half dragon.
Okay.
This is just they forgot a realm setting, but if I remember correctly, half dragons not half dragons, but dragonborn are basically from a parallel reality in a sense.
Kind of, yeah. It's weird.
Okay.
It's weird.
Do Dragonborn nurse their young?
Get on this scaly titty.
I think
in my universe, they do. They got snitties.
Why? Yeah. Why?
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 Hello, friends. My name is Jacob Collins, and you're listening to the Sins of the Father podcast.
David, mind meld with me.
Get in zone, dungeon zone.
Okay, excellent.
There you go.
So the scene starts with just pitch black. And then slowly you hear echoing in the distance the sound of footsteps as Rickett and Nyx come into view walking in this vast landscape. But where before they were isolated and alone, like the other pairs of the traveling group, the camera zooms out to show that now, whatever forces control this extraplanar travel have reunited the party into one central location, as all of you are now back together and can communicate with each other. Let's just start it off with a nice Arcana check. Rickett.
I don't mind if I do.
As you have been trudging through this black, empty escape, you have been almost instinctually trusting this pull you feel in your arcane symbol on your hand. As you continue walking forward, this sense of directional force is getting stronger and stronger, leading you towards something.
Okay. And does Nyx... Nyx also has the hand stamp, and we, know she does.
Yes.
Okay. So as I'm feeling this pull, I rolled a 12 on my Arcana check, by the way.
Yes, just to clarify, you saw that Nyx has the symbol on her hand.
So as Rickett is feeling this pull, he turns to Nyx. Nyx, I'm feeling like how do I say this? A pulling sensation with the symbol on my hand, this mark of destiny. Are you also feeling this?
Looks at her hand and is kind of looking around, trying to see if anything's going on. Am I feeling anything?
No.
Dungeon deity? No?
You are not.
No, I don't feel anything. Though, but I'm not used to this, so I don't know if it's supposed to be doing something. Possibly.
Well, to be honest, I've had this mark for approximately 28 months, and it didn't do a dang thing until just earlier.
And as Rickett is walking, he's holding his hand out in front of him, and he turns to the right to feel the pull, pulling him back straight. And he's just walking around turning in different directions, checking where this pull is pulling him to while he's talking. He's just doing some light investigating.
It's your arcane dowsing rod.
Yeah. I'm just testing it out because it's a strange sensation.
Well, perhaps it has to do with I touched the stained glass outside of the Cataniath estate, and maybe somehow my symbol. This is all theoretical, of course. Absorbed the power of the in between, and now I can't get lost. I have no idea what I'm talking about. This is just a conjecture at this point.
It does have some theories to it, though, I think. Well, I mean, if you said it didn't do anything for 28, I think?
Yes, approximately, and some odd days.
Okay, well, I mean, if it didn't do anything for that long, it's only logical to think that if you touch something and that guy uses the same thing as whatever you're using, that maybe in some way it's connected? Maybe it gave you some ability with it?
Maybe, but I have touched magical artifacts and interacted with spells before this, and the symbol did not absorb those magical effects.
That's true.
It's just curious. I wonder what could we slap your palm against and absorb?
I'm wondering, though, maybe it only affects depending on other users who have the mark? If he's using something that is an effect of his mark, maybe then you got some sort of residual magic maybe from it?
Oh!
And he cups his chin with his hand, and he's nodding thoughtfully.
Oh, I had not considered that. Oh, that's exhilarating. Do you feel like that, the thrill of not knowing and then suddenly knowing? It's the best.
It's kind of terrifying, but I mean, it'll be fun. I'm excited. It'll be an adventure.
Yes, just like the books I read.
Granted, though, I don't know much about this world, so honestly, everything's an adventure, honestly, for me.
Okay, I do mean to ask you about that. You say you're a stranger to this world, and I believe you mentioned you're from the Feywild.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm from a part of the Feywild.
Explain that more, please.
Well, I don't know exactly how to explain it, maybe in your terms, but we have a sort of like structure in the Feywild, I guess. So there is the Saka tree, and that is the person who kind of protects all of us. And in his world, it's kind of strange and different, but also if you go outside of our area, it's different there. There are areas like, well, there's the Unseelie Court I've heard of, and you don't want to go there personally.
Oh yes, I've read a series of books about the Unseelie Court, and they are, pardon my pun, unseemly.
Yeah, there's Feywild's a very interesting place, but I've never been outside of the Grove personally. The Grove is my home, and essentially, I mean, it's kind of hard to explain. It's very colorful, bright. It's full of trees. Although the trees are very colorful, bright, and they don't really make sense. You could also travel for a while, but it doesn't really feel like you're traveling for a while. It sometimes rains, but it doesn't really rain. It's more like raining petals, but then sometimes it will rain like other things. And the sky isn't really a sky, but it's like sparkly and colorful, and the clouds are pink, or sometimes they're blue, or sometimes they're other things. So, if I'm honestly, my world's a little different from yours. If that makes any sense? I don't know how to explain it best.
It makes sense, not at all, and that's quite fascinating to me.
Yeah, it's a strange place, I guess, to most people. It's kind of hard to explain, and it shifts all the time, and even then, our connection to your world is a little different. We have ways to get in, but we also have ways that we can't get in. So, it's kind of interesting for us. Though I've been exploring your world a lot, and it's honestly a lot of fun. There's so many interesting foods. Oswin and me have actually been traveling for a while, and I've been testing all different types of food. I didn't realize, though, that there are so many different shapes out there. Why are there different shapes?
Like of food? I mean, assuming that the food is malleable, it could take any shape. I mean, anything's possible with confections.
Interesting. I tried a cake of funnel, and it just, I don't have anything like it back home, but the only thing I could think of is Millismere. And it's not really like it, I guess, in texture at all. The cake of funnel is like really almost like a bread, but the only thing I have is, well, they're fruit. But I don't know how to explain that one. But I'm getting distracted. You were asking me about my world. The other thing about my world, I'm actually, I live with my mother, and I live in a tree above her, and she lives in the little pond beneath it. My mom's a nymph. Though I don't really know how to explain that one fully. It's kind of strange. So I'm only half Fae. The other part needs, I'm part human as well. So there is that. I just don't really know how that fully works to explain it.
That sounds fascinating.
And I think like Rickett and Nyx have been like so like what's the word, like ensconced in their conversation that they don't even realize that they have walked up like to other people. So like Rickett looks up and sees somebody, like they've walked into a group of people, or they're walking next to somebody, or I don't know, something like that.
I think Vartash is fine, so Vartash probably walks up and is just like,
you guys were in front, but it's one of those conversations where you just got so raptured in listening and learning every detail you could that you didn't realize you'd slowed your pace down. So Vartash, you walk up in the midst of that conversation and hear just random descriptions of food and fruit and living in trees and stuff.
Yeah, Vartash walks up and is like, starts to try to figure out what they're talking about, and then realizes that it's just becoming rambling about everything. And so just kind of stays quiet and just walks beside them.
Oh, hello. So, Vartash, when did you get here?
A little while ago. I really didn't know what you were talking about, so I just tuned it out.
Oh, well, I guess it's not really. Well, I mean, I guess it's important. It is important. It's my home. So, I mean, I don't know if I've ever really talked too much about my home. Granted, not much I really can't talk about with my home. I mean, there's only so much you can talk about.
Vartash, are you feeling kind of a tether from your hand? Like something's pulling it?
He raises his hand and looks at it. No. Just nothing abnormal.
Oh, this is fascinating and frustrating at the same time. And he switches his hand back and forth really fast and just feels the tether switching and changing in between his directions as he's testing it still.
And Rickett, as you're doing this, the three of you standing together now see as Rickett is swiping his hand in front of his face, there's almost this shimmering and movement in the air itself, almost as if he's moving something in and out of existence. As you see, half fading in and out, another one of those stained glass doorways.
Rickett, whatever you're doing, keep doing it.
Okay. Big circles or small circles?
I
big
don't
circle?
know.
Okay, big circles then. And he plants his feet far apart and just starts spinning his hand really quick in big huge circles. So much so that David's headphone fell off. That's how hard he's doing.
So as Rickett takes his power stance and starts spinning his hands, trying to do arcane symbols and magic work, his hat falls off in his vigorous shaking of his hands. And you see, beginning to coalesce in front of the three of you, in the same plane as you are now, it becomes a solid door made of stained glass, much in the same manner as the last portal that you went through.
Nice. Nix picks up Rickett's hat and just plops it back on his head.
Oh, thank you.
Welcome. Should we go through that? I guess we don't know where it goes fully, but I mean...
Don't touch the door yet. We gotta talk.
As Yvalia and Oswin roll up on cinnamon buns.
She dismounts and pats the Kruthic on the head and looks at everyone. We've been through a lot. And we've been through a lot. Years ago, and we're going through more now. It's all coming back. I, for one, am not the same kid that set out at the beginning with my three friends on this journey. You two are new, and I don't know you. I have concerns, especially about you. And she turns and points at Oswin. You said a lot of stuff. We need answers.
Yvalia.
Oswin kind of backs up with his hands in the air, looking very nervous as someone can be without facial expressions, but just body language.
Yvalia, I know you don't know them, but I've spent quite a lot of time with these two, and I promise that there's nothing nefarious.
How would you know?
Oswin?
I feel like I would know by now.
If you know, that's great, but I have questions. And we're not going anywhere until I get answers. You said a lot of stuff, Oswin. First thing I remember that was kind of weird was you made a comment about your dad talking about taking out heroes. That's the first thing you said. Then, when we were at Rickett's house, you talked about... Let me grab my note, guys. I got a note. This note has been hanging out for like 2 sessions. It's in pencil and it is smeared up, but let me see if I can read it. I need my glasses. I need my readers on. You said you were familiar with necromancy? You said your father's court? And that there were dark magic users in that court? So, is this your friend? Do you know this person? Do you know all these details about their past, Vartash? Or did you just let somebody in with all of us who's, I don't know, an evil person? A dark magic user? What? How am I supposed to trust that Oswin is who Oswin presents to be?
Vartash shrinks. Like, he looks very small all of a sudden. And just kind of backs up and kind of puts his head down.
I think at this point, like, Nyx kind of, like, goes in front of Oswin to go and, like, kind of be, like, a kind of, like, almost a defense in there.
Yeah, as Vartash shrinks away, you can almost see, like, the disappointed gesture of, like, Oswin almost, like, reaching out towards a friend, like, no, don't leave me. Oh. And then as Nyx gets closer, Oswin kind of gets a bit smaller and moves a little bit behind her. Not completely shrinking down, but he gets a little bit closer towards Nyx, just slightly seeming to hide behind her, but not entirely.
I trust Oswin, and he's my friend.
Nyx, do you know what necromancy is? Do you know what dark magic does?
Well, I've seen some things. And I've also used some magic myself. You've seen it myself. I mean, I can use magic.
Not this kind of magic.
I've been with Oswin this entire time in the world, and I mean, he's my first friend here. Oswin's been here to help me along my way. We've been traveling together for... Well, I don't really know how time works here fully. Months? It's been a while. I really don't know. But Oswin's been kind and helpful, and all he wants to do is see the world. He wouldn't harm anyone. He'd be there for you.
A metal hand places itself on your shoulder, Nyx, and Oswin kind of goes,
It's alright, Nyx.
and he kind of like gestures you to move aside from in front of him.
She like slightly steps aside, but she still wants to be like within arm's reach of you.
Oswin appreciates that immensely.
Yvalia, I'm sorry if I've given you reason to distrust me. I perhaps have been a little bit too down with my guard, I suppose, and said some things that I might not have wanted to. I've just been so excited to meet Vartash's friends that I wasn't really paying attention to everything I was saying like I usually do. But since it's kind of out on the table, yes, I do perform necromancy. I'm rather proficient in it. I guess I can address your questions one at a time. It'd probably be easier that way.
She looks over at Rickett and to exchange a glance.
necromancy, how did you learn it? Who taught you?
I was taught by a couple people, but the main person who taught me was my father. My father was a necromancer. He used other magics, of course. He had some golems, and he had a number of destructive magics, too. Even a couple divination spells. But he was specialized in that field in some ways. Namely, the alteration of fate.
She again looks at Rickett. Like, should I be concerned about what he just said?
Oswin, you seem like a nice person, but in all of my studies, necromancy is quite profane and quite sacrilegious. It kind of goes against the natural order of things. Are you a bad guy?
No, I don't think I am. Am I a bad guy? I mean, necromancy can be used for a lot of things. It can be used to turn back the tides of life and death, to accelerate it or slow it. I can see the threads of fate that tie us all together, especially those that are tied to our, lifespans. And I'm able to manipulate them. Like, you can't see it, but there's a weave to our world, and I'm able to adjust those aspects to some degree. But it's not evil, it's just it's capable of doing bad things.
I don't know much about magic, but I don't think that magic of any specific kind could be categorized as evil or good or anything. I mean, Yvalia, you... I hate to bring it up again. You killed someone with magic. Who's to say that's not evil?
Well, Rickett steps forward and steps through everybody to Yvalia's side. Yvalia was asking questions. I do not believe there is any need to shame anybody. She was curious. She asked questions. May I remind you, when we went to the City of Heroes, there was talk of a betrayer, and I think it is important for Yvalia to ask questions like this, so that maybe, no offense, Oswin, we are not betrayed.
I understand that, and I think that Rickett's right. I think it's my fault for keeping secrets, but you have to understand, Yvalia, it's not exactly easy to be a necromancer, even a good one. I mean, my practice isn't exactly well loved amongst the public, so I try not to tell people. I haven't exactly been trying to hide it per se, though. I've still been using my magic to try my best to help you guys. And Nyx and Vartash both can attest to that. I've been nothing but, well, I hope helpful to them. And I hope that I can continue to be.
While Oswin's speaking, and Rickett has defended her, she hasn't taken her eyes off of Vartash.
I think I've already been betrayed.
She walks to the door and opens it.
And with a flash of light, Yvalia vanishes from the room.
My goodness.
Vartash is microscopic.
Oswin very gently leans down to Nyx. Just his body's static.
I think I just ruined a friendship.
I don't know what happened here. Yeah, I think we just may have ruined friendships.
Oh no.
I don't know.
And it's because I'm a necromancer.
Maybe I can make her some, like, flower things to make it up to her?
We have to do something. We can't let it be like this.
Do you think she likes her hair braided?
Oh,
Wait, does Yvalia braid her hair? Like, have braided hair?
Yeah, it stays in a braid.
Well, it's always in a braid. When are we going to have the chance to do so?
I could braid her hair with, like flowers? Maybe I could ask her if she wants her hair braided with flowers?
Yeah, that's a good
Everyone
idea.
back home likes that.
Okay.
Maybe that'll help. I don't know. Looks at, like, Vartash over there, who's, like, shrieked over. I don't think Vartash is doing well. Maybe I should go and tell Rickett to go and help his boyfriend.
Yeah, he's just like staring at the ground.
I think Vartash might need time.
Yeah. Maybe we should leave him with Rickett. We're gonna go on ahead. You two good with cinnamon bun? Yeah, let's go. Okay. Grabs, like, the giant boy and just starts dragging him off to go through the door next.
Yvalia, did you take Cinnamon Bun with you?
I imagine Cinnamon Bun just kind of follows. Like,
Oh, okay.
Probably, yeah.
Okay, so as Nyx makes mention of Cinnamon Bun, you turn and look as you see the Kruthic just kind of walk up to the door and just hit it with its head and just poof, vanish in that same flash of light.
Oh, hey, there we go.
And as Oswin follows his friend, he turns to Vartash, and if expressionless glowing eyes could say I'm sorry before going through the door himself.
It's fine. He'll be fine with his boyfriend.
Oh, right. That's still a thing.
They do think that.
I gotta leave him alone with the two boys.
Oh, boy.
As the two of you disappear through the portal, leaving just Rickett and Vartash.
Rickett is like doing the thing where he's like rocking between the toes of his boots and the heel of his boots, just kind of like rocking back and forth, swinging his hands back and forth at his side.
How are you doing, buddy?
I didn't mean it like that. I was just trying to say that we shouldn't... We should judge people by their actions and not by the kind of magic they employ.
I mean, that is fair. I just haven't ever met anybody who uses necromancy, and there are a lot of negative applications, but that isn't what we're talking about right now. I am more adept at reading books than talking to people and relating to people, but you and Yvalia are friends. You two are my oldest friends, and I think your feelings are hurt, and her feelings are hurt, and maybe giving some time will help. But then maybe having an argument will get all the negative feelings out there. I'm not sure. I don't know what the best way to approach this is. I just think I want to say, and he like grabs Vartash's hand. We're friends.
Yeah, we are.
And I think they stand there for a little bit, holding hands, and then Rickett points toward the door.
I'm ready to walk through, but if you're not, we can stay here a little longer.
No, let's go.
All right, buddy.
And then Rickett will walk with Vartash to the door.
So the scene shows the last two members of this party step through, and there's that same flash of light. But then the camera lingers on the scene a little longer as the portal closes. And you see in the distance, almost appearing out of nowhere, two silhouetted figures in the dark who approach from behind where the party came from. And you hear two voices. One of them speaks up. It would seem the seeds of distrust have already been sown amongst them. Wouldn't you agree, brother of mine? The other figure nods. Yes, it would seem so, sister dearest. This will be interesting to see unfold. And then the scene fades out. Hello friends, and welcome back to Sins of the Father Episode 7. I'm your Dungeon Daddy, Jackson Chandler. I won't keep you long, but I'd like to announce we have a couple new patrons to the show. So thank you to Joseph Knoll, Alex White, and Celeste for supporting our show. I also want to remind you that we are still on the path to hitting $500 a month on Patreon, which will allow us to provide our editors with a pay raise to say thank you for everything they do. Don't forget to support us on iTunes. If you leave us a review, send us a copy of it to misconceptionspod@gmail.com to receive a free Sins of the Father decal. That's all for now. Let's jump into the next episode of Sins of the Father, Season 2. All of you now, having stepped through the portal, find yourself in a low-light cave, rocky outcroppings all around you, and the tunnel leading forward or behind you. Just for clarification, Vartash, is there any magical aspect to the Falconer Rogue?
No.
Okay.
None.
So, for everyone but Vartash, those of you that are inclined to the magics, you feel the air itself is thick in this area. And there's almost this hint of, you would say, corruption to the magics around you. And they seem to be following these ethereal lines of magic throughout this cave system. You can feel them pulling you towards the larger opening in front of you. What? Why you gotta type that, Marlo? Waves of fat magic. That's right. Thick fat magic. Nyx. This feeling, this sick magic feeling, seems to be especially potent on you, as it's almost churning your stomach, making you nauseous. As you all get your bearings, and acclimate to the darker surroundings you suddenly find yourself in, you all hear the faint sounds of what you would assume is machinery, heavy machinery being operated, coming from that same opening in the mouth of the cave.
Where are we?
For reference, how, like, sick feeling does this, like, energy feel?
Like, how sick does it feel to you, or, like,
Yeah.
how sick is it making you feel?
Yeah, like, how sick does it, like, make her feel?
Roll a Constitution save.
Ooh, that's a good one.
So like 1986,
Yeah.
1996.
Am I
can assure
feeling
you
like
it
the
is
plague?
not as. I can assure you it's not as sick as bell-bottom jeans.
Ah, damn.
So it's sicker.
That is
It's not as sick as neon fanny packs.
That's
Those are
a
just
flat
downright
14.
ill.
My sweet kick flips.
It's pretty sick, my dude.
Good thing I don't have anything, but hey, I got a flat 14 there.
So there is that same sense of a knot in your stomach when you are anxious, or there's that impending sense of dread, how it's that, you know, all it takes is one push and you'll throw up. It's that kind of nausea. It's not like to the point of your mouth watering and like feeling prepared and about to throw up, but on the cusp of that.
It's like I don't feel very good, but I'm like not there of like I'm gonna be sick
Yes.
just yet. Okay. Imagine it's like everyone gets here. Nyx is kind of like visibly more down than she normally is, and as we're all driving together, I don't like being in this area. I don't know what it is though. Maybe we should move on.
Oswin, like, starts, like, the briefest of an incantation to cast his, detect good and evil, but then, like, stops as he thinks of Yvalia, and then does nothing.
Yvalia looks at everyone, shrugs, and starts walking the direction of the mechanical whirring without any, like, quiet or calm or anything like that.
Is it like
No, it
pitch
is
black in here?
low light. You can make out shapes, and like as when you first came out of it, it seemed pitch black, but your eyes have adjusted to the lower light in this cave, and you can see around.
Okay. Yvalia, wait! And Rickett runs off after her. Just walking, no conversation, just walking.
Kind of like standing as like the two of them are walking off. Oswin, do you think things have maybe gotten slightly worse here?
I believe the air has grown tense in more ways than one. Do
Yeah.
you need me to carry you, by the way?
I'll be fine. But besides,
Okay.
I think you're not a very heavy boy. Remember?
Right.
It's okay though. I'll be fine. I'll just take it slow.
You can use my side if you need to lean on something. Oh, and Vartash? I
Yeah.
appreciate you standing up for me. I'm sorry I got you in trouble.
You didn't. That was on me.
No, I relied on you guys to speak for me. And you wouldn't have said anything if I had just explained myself first.
I mean,
No.
I
I still would have. Because Yvalia needs to hear things from me. She's not going to take you on your own word alone. I don't blame her. It is a little weird.
It is. You're oddly comfortable given that you've just technically learned that I'm a necromancer.
I've known you these past months and I trust you. Whatever's going on, I trust that you don't have any dangerous intentions.
I mean,
You guys are my only friends. I would do anything to protect you guys.
I'm from another world and you stuck up for me immediately, so I mean, I don't see anything wrong. I don't even go here, really.
We should probably catch up with the others.
Yeah.
I'm a bit slow, so I'm going to have to run.
Yeah. I'm not sure what's going on also in this area. It's... I don't know. Vartash, you don't have magic, so I don't know if you can feel it, but... Oswin, do you feel that, right? In the air?
Now that Yvalia's gone, he will give the incantation. Like he'll actually look around a little bit just to see if it's comfortable for him to use it, and then go.
Meddlings of Bane and Boon, take form before me in the weave of destiny. Reveal their presence. Detect good and evil.
And he reaches out, and the threads of fate and the various supernatural goods and evils that influence them take form before him.
So, as you finish casting this incantation, Oswin, you have that same, because Nyx is Fae, detect good and evil does detect Fae.
Who'd have guessed?
You've learned, Oswin, you've learned to tune out that ping of your incantation that radiates off of Nyx. And as you initially go to do that, you realize that it's not pinging off of her. It's something coming from further out in the direction the party went.
Another Fae.
Something of Fae origin.
Do I also detect that inside all of us are skeletons?
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Oh no.
That's right, audience.
But
Even
we're
the
all
Warforged-
undead.
Even the Warforge has a skeleton inside of them. Is it his?
It's me.
We don't know.
Just walking around with a random person's skeleton inside the armor.
How else is it gonna fill out the armor?
Oh my gosh.
Some people have skeletons in their closet. I have skeletons in my body.
Okay.
Yes.
I guess that's something technically everyone can say, but
Wow.
but yeah.
Oh. I sense the presence of some kind of Fae. And it's not you, Nyx.
What? Wait, what do you mean? Like, where?
I don't know. There's a Fae somewhere around here. I kind of just got a vague sensation at the moment.
Do I have a direction though?
Yes, towards the opening of the cave, where the rest of the party was heading.
I can't pinpoint it exactly, but
Oswin traces his fingers along an invisible thread.
it's leading us towards the cave. Where the others
Alright.
went.
Well,
And do I detect any sort of profane or blessed, consecrated energy to this?
In the same vague pull that you are feeling of Fae coming from the opening of this cave, there is the slightest tinge of desecrated ground.
And it's definitely desecrated.
Well,
We need to
that's
hurry.
not good.
They could be in danger.
Maybe we can do something to help him?
We need to catch up with the others.
Okay, right as, like, we're about to, like, head out, she's like, she essentially casts her own spell, for a second, to try and see if she can also see whatever is leading Oswin to this, and Ferrum Olinair. And immediately her eyes just kind of glow bright as they are entirely now, like, bright glowing green orbs inside. And she casts Detect Magic, so she can try and hopefully see where this aura is going herself to figure out where she can, like, head.
So much like Oswin's magics, you do feel and sense, this same pull towards the opening of the cave. But there's something in the back of your mind, something almost instinctual, that can tell that there's something horribly wrong from this magic pull.
We should go. Right away. And, like, without a second thought, she just kind of runs off to go and chase after the others.
Vartash will cast Draw Pistol as he moves forward toward the entrance.
Yes. Along with Draw Pistol, you may take the free action to cast Load Bullet.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So, Rickett and Yvalia, who wandered in this direction first, as you come to the opening of this cave, your eyes are immediately drawn to the networking, interlacing branches of a colossal tree that is planted, roots in the middle of this open expanse of subterranean area. And you realize that looking at this tree, it seems to continue up through the rocky ceiling above you. You see scattered around this tree are what you would assume are the remnants of a civilization or city that used to be built around the base of the tree. And you also notice that there are these small globes of light scattered throughout these ruins, and that machinery has gotten louder as you realize around the base of this tree have been erected large mechanical structures with what seems to be some kind of siphoning device. As you see these storage tanks that are giving off that same glow that you have noticed from the mech guard in Haravel, that alchemical arcane glow, and moving around in clockwork patterns are some of these same towering mechanical soldiers moving these large machines and storage devices. As one fills up, they move it and replace it. And at this time, the other three of you come to the mouth of the cave. And Nyx, as you look out, it is like a punch to the gut, and your heart breaks as seeing this tree, you can feel the magic being pulled from it. And it gives off, now seeing it, you realize that connection you were feeling was not quite the same, but almost identical to the connection you have to the great Saku tree.
You're a monster.
As you can feel the pain as you look at the tree in the center of this cavern.
It seems to be some sort of refinery. Look, these tankards, they're housing the same energy that fuels the automated guards in Harville. Wait! And he, grabs whoever the two people nearest to him are. The blueprints in my father's study. This must be the subterranean city. The city under Harville.
I think this entire moment is just Nyx frozen, staring at this tree, and she's just blocked everything else out.
Oswin, being the one that is closest to Nyx in relationship, connection, you realize that something's wrong with Nyx as you see that disassociation as she just goes blank.
Oswin looks up towards the tree. The threads of Fey and corruption that Oswin can see, how are they weaving around this thing?
Now, having an open line of sight to the source, you see that these threads of corruption, desecration, and Feywild origin are interlaced and intertwined as you follow them into the tree itself. You see them all coalescing inside of the tree. And you see, in this moment of focusing on this tree, that corruption is slowly taking over as more of those strands you are following begin to darken and gray.
He glances around, looking at invisible threads.
They're killing it.
He quickly turns to Nyx, seeing her frozen. He places a hand on her.
We have to do something. We have to stop them.
Just kind of looking around, just unsure of where to start. And she's like, I don't.
How many guards are there?
From where you are standing, roughly 4.
Do you think we could get to the tree? Maybe I can talk to it? And try and help it? I don't... It looks... bad from here.
How far are we away from it? From the guards and the tree and all that?
You would estimate roughly a couple 100 feet.
Okay.
Seeing the sheer stature of this tree, you can tell that looking at this cavern itself and the remnants of this older city, that this tree has slowly been withering away, because there's now almost a vast no man's land from where the architecture ends to the center of the tree. As there are scars of where gnarled bark and roots were eating away at the earth have receded, almost in a defense mechanism.
I think we need to break those machines.
I mean, gosh, guys, we're just kids. How are we going? I mean, I'm all for destabilizing exploitative economies, but how are we going to do this?
We just can't get caught.
Vartash just disappears. He's going for a machine.
Well, slams her hand onto the ground and immediately just energy erupts through her all the way straight over to where the machine is as spikes just erupt all around it. As the earth just kind of encapsulates all around it. And she's casting spike growth. And,
Are you within range for that?
Yeah, we're gonna have to move closer, I think, because we're hundreds of feet away.
I don't think all of the machines would be that far away. I imagine there's probably some that are probably close enough, but also
How many of
goes
these
up
do
to
we
150
see
feet. It also goes 150 feet, so I think I'd probably be close enough to go and cast within 150 feet.
So there are the 4 mechanical golems.
Uh-huh.
The 4 mechanical golems operating 4 of these siphoning machines.
Okay.
Whichever one's closest, that's what she's gonna cast on. Because I don't think Nyx is really like logically thinking anymore.
Sure.
That's fair.
You mess with my nature, I mess with you.
Vartash is stealthed off. He's gone.
If
The rest of you, minus Vartash, who already slithered away into the dark, correct? So Yvalia, Rickett, and Oswin, you see this just dark expression fall over Nyx's face as, almost in a blinding rage, with that magical power building up in her hand, goes sprinting forward towards this tree. What level are you casting that at?
I think we can only cast at 2nd level, so it's gonna be 2nd level.
Okay. As I roll a die.
I also think as like a bonus action, she's gonna activate her petals to go and be able to talk to plants, so she can keep up with what the plant is telling her.
Nyx sprints off towards this tree as you see this torrent of petals begin swirling around her in a tempest. This arcane druidic energy building up in her hands as she runs forward, rage overflowing, which is just unnatural to see from Nyx. Kind of, all of you feel just this immense, overwhelming pressure as what Nyx intended to be a small spike growth spell, she wrenches her hand forward and you see the earth itself erupt in front of her as a large, what you would almost assume is a root, comes burrowing out of the ground, spiraling towards this machine. In like a drill, twists as it slams, piercing straight through the machine. And as she's screaming, she wrenches her hands out as the root itself splinters inside of this machine and then just shreds it, sending shrapnel everywhere.
so, the guards. Has this alerted any attention?
Nah, it's fine.
Nah, it's fine.
You hear various new, louder machines turning on as you see there are these smaller, what you would assume are these worker guards who have no armaments, moving these storage canisters from these machines as one more akin to the mechwork guards you are familiar with stands up, and you see is brandishing the hand ballista.
So Oswin, immediately getting over the whole worrying about using magic around Yvalia, is going to cast guidance on himself as he darts forward, scooping Nyx up and like ducks behind like a pile of machinery to hide.
Yvalia and Rickett, what are you doing?
She alerted all the guards.
Rickett has like already hid behind a nearby boulder and is just like waving his hands frantically like, come here.
She gives this big sigh, and just like starts walking forward. She's not gonna hide. She just walks forward after the rest of them. Like the way she's walking and this purposeful step, she's pissed. Like she's really mad right now. So the guard that was at that machine is still functional, right? It's like now real, and it's the closest machine to our entrance point, right?
This new guard is. The armed guard is the next closest one now, after the worker was just eviscerated by Nyx. Yes.
She strums and casts Blade Ward on herself as she's just walking towards it.
Oh boy.
And so the view cuts to Yvalia, just scowl on her face, casts this Blade Ward as the magics begin swirling around her in this defensive posture. As in the very David and Goliath, the camera zooms down to where it's Yvalia walking next to Nyx with just this large, imposing guard silhouetted in front of them as it aims up the ballista. End of episode.
Oh, so good.
That's great, you guys.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode. With the release of episode 7, we are switching back for the foreseeable future to 1 episode a month, so next episode will be released on August 8th. But don't worry if you can't wait that long. If you support us on Patreon with $5 a month or more, you'll get access to our episodes 1 week before they release to the public. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at Sins of the Pod. If you weren't aware, we have a Discord channel for the Misconceptions Podcast Network where you can chat about your favorite shows and anything else nerdy with all of the crew and other friends of the show. We also launched a merch store where you can fulfill all of your nerdy misconceptions and Sins of the Father needs. Just go to misconceptionspod.com to check out everything we have to offer. If you need to contact us, you can send us an email to misconceptionspod@gmail.com. Sins of the Father is only possible thanks to y'all, so we'd appreciate it if you would spread the word about our show if you enjoy it. If you're feeling especially generous, you can always donate to us through our Patreon page. However you decide to help, we greatly appreciate it. Sins of the Father is an actual play podcast using the Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition role-playing game by Wizards of the Coast. The Sins of the Father theme was composed by Aaron Wharton. You can find more of his music at aaronwharton.net. Sins of the Father is a part of the Misconceptions Podcast Network. That about covers it for now, and as always, keep rolling crits.